Right. Welcome, everyone, to the Credit Concept Podcast. I am your host, Credit Coach Nicole Scott, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about credit repair. Does it really work? Is it worth it? Or are you taking advice from someone who just wants to make a buck off of you? In today's episode, we're going to be talking about credit repair in 2023 and 2024. And does it really work? Who are you listening to out there who preaches about the law but is not a consumer lawyer? In today's episode, we're going to be cracking open the credit repair industry as a whole and breaking down what you should do as a consumer to protect yourself and make sure that you're doing what's going to be best fit for you and your goals. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott, and if you haven't by now, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel and you have watched all of the episodes or listened to all of the Credit Concept Podcast episodes, because there are quite a few, and make sure that you have watched the videos on my YouTube channel. Navy Federal Masterclass is an absolute game changer, and so are some of the other videos that have recently dropped. So head on over there, and you can always listen while driving. That's the beautiful thing about my videos, is you can listen while you are multitasking, you can listen while you are driving, because you educating yourself is only investing in yourself. And I always tell people you're going to have to invest one or two, if not both, of those things to get to the next level. One is time. You have to invest time, okay? You have to take action. You have to invest in your education. And the second is investing. You know, like I said before, you have to invest in your education. You're going to have to spend time and you're going to have to spend money, okay? And you're going to have to either spend one more than the other, right? If you don't have the money, you're going to have to spend probably a lot more time, right? And you can utilize your time wisely by listening to podcasts and listening to education stuff while you're driving, while you're working. When I was first learning about credit and business credit and all of the things that, I preach about to you guys today, I learned a lot of information on YouTube University, like most of us do, right? Because it's great information. It's free. Our budget generally isn't a whole lot to start off with, right? But as we grow, we're able to invest more and more into our education, into our business, into our future, into our credit. So it's a climbing path that we're on to reach success. And today we're really going to be talking about, the credit portion of it and credit repair and, what's going on in this industry. Does it really work? Who you can trust? How are you repairing your credit? Who are you listening to? Is this going to be best fit for you? Is it going to be a waste of your time and money? Should you just do it yourself? My standard answer to anyone who says, should I just do it myself? Absolutely. Absolutely, you should do it yourself. It's free for you to send dispute letters. Well, it's not free. Of course, you have to pay for postage and you have to pay for paper and ink and, things, supplies, right? But you can totally do it. You just have to learn how to do it. I have an entire playlist on my YouTube channel that teaches you how to do it. You just get some dispute letters and start disputing. And if you have validated the debt, sometimes part of credit repair is paying old debts. Let's just be honest. You can't run from everything, okay? And as much as you might see on social media, and as much information as you might see on social media or other forms of advertising from credit repair specialists or companies where they are promising you any sort of one result. Of course, no one in this industry can possibly guarantee one type of result because every credit report has different DNA. Every person's situation is different. But I talk about the concept behind it all. Okay. And today we're just going to be talking about the concept. The concept is you dispute the negative items that are affecting you. Is everything going to come off? Probably not. Okay. Let's just be honest. How long is it going to take? It just depends on how many items you have on your credit report, right? If you have a lot of things that are considered to be derogatory, it's going to take longer. You're going to need to dedicate at least 6 to 12 months of repairing, disputing, building, making sure you're paying on time, not abusing your credit cards, keeping your utilization below 15%, not abusing your credit cards. So there's a lot of factors involved here, but the concept is, credit repair does work, but there's always a but, right? There's always a but. But not everything goes away, okay? The goal with credit repair is for us to dispute inaccurate information that is listed on our credit report. Information can be from a number of different ways that the data is listed on one's credit report. The date of last activity, it could be anything that is listed on your credit report that is data, as far as the date opened, what the credit limit was, when the, last time it reported, if it reported late payments in different months. So there's a lot of data there, and you just have to kind of look at it and read through it. If you need to get a copy of your credit report, I recommend either 𝗔𝗂𝗍𝗂 because it is a FICO 8 and it's very easy to understand and to read because it has all three of your credit reports side by side. It's the same makers as Identity IQ, but it's a FICO version. And I really like it because it's easy for anyone to understand. You can see what accounts are reporting to what bureau. You can check all of the information. It only has a 2-year history. So, the last 2 years are obviously the most important. However, if you wanted a longer history, then you would need to get an app like MyFICO, give you a longer history. But of course, MyFICO is more pricey every month. I think it's like $39 a month, and 𝗔𝗂𝗍𝗂 is like $29 a month. So it's really up to you, but you can use either one. There's also, other credit monitoring that is out there. If you already have a credit monitoring, like with Experian, you can certainly use that. The only thing that I don't like about Experian is that you can't see all three side by side. They don't have like the 3B report. And it's really easy for us, especially as beginners, for us to be able to compare the data. And one way that you can really compare the data with 𝗔𝗂𝗍𝗂 is just by simply printing out your credit report and going through it with a fine-tooth comb and highlighting all of the inconsistent data, inconsistent information, outdated information, or fraudulent information that is listed on your credit report, and then dispute it accordingly. You don't want to just put all of your disputes on one letter, but you want to attack each thing, either individually, or you can add a couple items to a letter that might fall under the same category, like inquiries or personal information or charge-offs, collections, things of that nature. Now, there's a lot of people out there that can simply do this service for you. If you are interested in paying for credit repair, I'm sure you can find somebody that can help you. However, I recommend that you work with someone like myself who is a credit coach and can walk you through how to actually fix your credit so you can be successful long term. Credit is not short term. There's nothing fast about credit repair. There's nothing fast about this process. It's a very slow process, in fact, because once you submit your dispute letters to the credit bureau, they can take up to 45 days to investigate your information that you have submitted, your dispute. Oftentimes nowadays, especially here in 2023, about to be in 2024, they are horrible, especially TransUnion and Experian. They are absolutely horrible when it comes to these darn stall tactic letters. I talk to a lot of people every day and they say, hey, I got a response from TransUnion or I got a response from Experian, and they said they don't think it's me, but it was me. I sent it, from my home address. I sent the supporting documentation. It was me. I'm not using a credit repair company. And thousands and millions of people are getting these automatic stall tactic letters from TransUnion and from Experian. And basically they are saying that, hey, we think you're working with a credit repair person. But really, consumers are becoming educated on how to dispute the information. So they're getting a lot more disputes and they can't handle the volume. So they have a computer system called the 𝗖𝗿𝗲𝗱𝗁 system, and it helps them sort through the mess. Okay. And it's AI. So a certain percentage of the letters, if they think it's coming from a software like Credit Repair Cloud, if it's coming from like a mail automation system or somewhere that is very obvious it's not coming from the consumer, it might get flagged, or it might just simply get flagged for no reason. Of course, we don't know the exact reasons. We can only speculate, right? And of course, I'm not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice. I just give information based on my experience, and we come up with a concept behind it, right? Everyone has an opinion. It's just like an a-hole, right? But what we can't take for sure out here, this information that people spread, is too many of you are listening to consumer law experts. And I'm going to say that one more time, consumer law experts. So these are people that repair credit, specialize in helping people repair credit, and speak of the law and tell you what is legal and not legal and what should be reported and not reported on your credit report. Now, for number one, you cannot take legal advice from someone who is not a licensed attorney. If you are getting that information from a licensed consumer law attorney, that's one thing. But you are listening to people who are not a consumer lawyer. And the law has a lot of gray area. And everyone has their own interpretation of the law and what it means. I might see it one way. You might see it another way, right? But it might open your eyes when another person says, well, this is what it means. But guess what? It's not saying that exactly. And if it was that simple, then we would all just have perfect credit, right? There would not be credit repair, and we could just simply use the law to get all of this illegal information that is reported on our credit report off. So simple, right? If only it worked like that. And I'm here to expose that credit repair is not as easy as you might think. It's very time consuming. It's very tedious. And, not only have I helped many people with this process, but I'm seeing the shift in, what's going on in the industry. And with the amount of artificial intelligence out there, AI and data, it's very hard to run from mistakes or stop pays or, hey, I just give up on this credit card. I don't want to pay it anymore, but it's illegal for a collection agency to come after me for this debt that I owe. We all have to take accountability for ourselves at some point. I always recommend that you dispute information that is on your credit report. Like I said before, nothing is guaranteed that it will come off. Is it illegal for collection agencies to report debt on your credit report after it has been validated? No, it is not. Why? Because they have provided you with debt validation that it belongs to you. Now, if you see a problem with the validation that they've provided you with, that's another thing. But if a creditor or a collection agency validates the debt, you've disputed it, you've already wasted 6 months, just settle the debt. If you know that it's yours and they're proving that it's yours, do a debt settlement with them, okay? And a lot of people also don't quite understand the pay for delete. I guess you can say it's not necessarily a hack, and it's certainly not something that a lot of companies are going to flat out say, oh yeah, we're going to pay for delete, right? That's a term that credit repair people use and this industry uses. But in actuality, that's not something that collection agencies like to say, because it's making, you're not supposed to make, how do you say it? You're not supposed to negotiate these type of things. That's not right? So what we have to do instead is say, okay, once this debt is settled, paid, and updated to a zero balance, is this going to stop reporting to my credit report as if it never existed? And at that time, they'll tell you yes or no, because some collection companies will delete it after it is settled and some collection companies will not. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit. So a lot of there's two different types of collection companies. One is the collection company that is collecting debt on behalf of their client, which is usually utility companies, medical companies, some sort of service provider, right? So they get hired by this service provider. They don't own the debt. They're just collecting on behalf of their clients. So when you settle with them, they'll usually have to get their client's approval, and then they will be able to say, okay, they've accepted or they've declined, and you'll have to come up on your offer. When you are going through debt settlement, the goal would be to be anywhere from 30 to 50 cents on the dollar. Even if you do 25 cents on the dollar, that's amazing, right? 50 cents on the dollar is about as high as I would go. But if you can go lower, of course, you always want to start with negotiations super low, like 10 cents, 25 cents, like super low ball, and just see what they will say. Like, hey, I'm going through a financial hardship. We are in literally a recession. Please, ask your client if they would be willing to provide any sort of grant or any forgiveness towards this debt if I could just pay, whatever you can afford, 25 cents on the dollar. So if it's $500, say you offer them like 125 or something like that, right? Just to settle this debt. And some companies will, some companies will not. A lot of medical will give you slack, I'll be honest with you. And sometimes it's just worth paying it and getting it in your past versus paying someone else. Next thing you know, you pay this person $500 and it's still reported on your credit, and you're going to have to end up paying it anyways, right? It is not illegal to report medical collections on your credit report. Now, collections under $500 no longer get reported, but anything over $500 does. However, a lot of places are more lenient if you do happen to have medical collections, but of course it's not recommended, right? So you can always dispute them, try to, do a payment plan with the hospital so it doesn't end up in collections. Like, I literally had a client paying like $5 a month to the hospital just to not go to collections, and they'll do it. As long as they get that $5 payment, they will do it. So just, try to avoid anything hitting your credit as far as collections go. But disputing it is not illegal unless they have violated some sort of HIPAA violation, meaning they have shared information about the procedure with the third party, which very rarely happens. So the third party will not know anything about the procedure. They will literally just have the amount that you owe and very minimal information about that. Request the breakdown of how they were able to calculate that number that they are alleging you owe them, right? Because sometimes you can find cracks in how they billed you, what they billed you for, if the insurance or hopefully you have insurance. If the insurance is truly going to cover it and it's just a matter of getting that item billed back to the insurance company. So a lot of times, if you request that and get a breakdown of everything, that's really going to help you. So, there's a lot of myths out there as far as what can be reported, what can't be reported. When it comes to credit repair, you want to be educated, because I have so many people that come to me and they have horror stories about how they've paid so many different people to help them repair their credit, and they end up in the same place. Why? Because they're simply not educated. And once they do get a little bit of credit, they just mess it up. And, in this day and age that we're in, there is too much technology out there to run from these debts anymore. It is getting harder and harder to get items deleted from credit reports because of technology and AI and all of the things that come along with that. So these companies are getting smarter and smarter. They're literally tracking every move we make. All of this stuff is electronic. So, there's cameras everywhere. So we really need to make sure that you're doing the right thing. When you get your credit cards, when you get credit, lines of credit, do the right thing. Make sure that you don't need credit repair. If you need to clean up inquiries, call the credit bureaus, try to get them off. You can say, hey, these are some unauthorized inquiries. Unauthorized just means, hey, I approve them to do a soft pull, not a hard pull. I had a lady at a store, and it was a store that was offering a reward if I signed up for their credit card. So I said, sure. I said, is it going to be a hard pull or a soft pull? And she confirmed it's going to be a soft pull. And I said, okay, if it's a soft pull, go ahead. Next thing I know, I'm standing in front of her, and all my alerts on my credit monitoring start going off, because of course it's not a soft pull. And I knew that it wasn't going to be in my heart, but I just wanted to see if she was going to lie to me. And of course she said it was a soft pull, and that's just a matter. It's not necessarily that she was trying to lie to me. It's just that a lot of people are uneducated, and unfortunately her company did not properly educate her and train her on how this credit card really works, because a lot of people just simply don't understand credit. And anytime you apply for a card, especially in store, it's 100% going to be a hard pull. The only time you can really bank on a credit card being a soft pull is when you actually go to the website or the app and it says, hey, pre-qualify with no impact to your credit score or something to that nature, meaning they're going to try to pre-qualify you before they approve you. Once you accept the offer, that's when the hard pull occurs. So, you just got to be careful out there. But back to the subject at hand, let's talk about it, because a lot of you guys are believing false information. And like I said, if it was really so easy to repair your credit and have perfect credit, and if it was just so easy to, just clean up your credit, it only takes like 60 to 90 days, just clean up your credit report. It's that easy. I literally had someone comment on my YouTube channel, and he said, why does everyone make it seem like it's so easy just to clean your credit? And I just had to chuckle to myself, because I'm thinking, I know. I asked myself the same question. Why does everyone seem like it's so easy just to clean your credit? You just clean your credit up. For those people that have high credit card usage, I just don't understand how someone can say, well, we can just get that debt removed from your credit report. If someone said that to me, red flags are going to be going up, because we all know if someone could just remove debt from your credit report legally, something ain't right about that, because that's not how the system was built to be. The system was built for a fair playing ground, okay? From all angles, from the credit bureau and from us, right? You're trying to cheat the system, for number one. And if you get caught doing some things, you're going to be in hot water, okay? It's identity theft. It is fraud, okay? And you are literally allowing someone to remove debt and they quote unquote say legally, they can remove debt from your credit profile legally, right? How is that legal? You have to ask yourself, okay, because the concept of credit reporting is to report 100% fair and accurate information from all the way around, right? And if you see something that seems to be off or wrong, then you as a consumer have the right to dispute it. But people that are trying to, basically cheat the system, you can't get mad when you pay for credit repair and it doesn't work, okay? That's what I have to say about that. So you have to be very careful. Pay down debt that, belongs to you. If you have paid for credit repair and it's still not off of your credit profile, chances are you need to pay for it. If you know that debt belongs to you and you've already paid one or two people for credit repair, chances are, guess what? They were able to validate that the account belongs to you. They were able to validate that you've made payments from your bank account to pay for the bill up until the time that you decided, hey, I'm just going to try to ditch this bill and pay for credit repair. Sometimes that does not work. Okay. In this day and age, it's not cutting it anymore. So you cannot have that type of mentality. If you ran up some credit cards, you're going to need to pay for them, especially if you can settle them for a lower amount than what you would have owed. That's already winning. I would never recommend somebody file for bankruptcy unless it's absolutely necessary, right? And you can always speak to a lawyer and get more advice on that. But if you don't even have, $50K in debt, it's like, bankruptcy is something that sticks around for the next 7 to 11 years. Accounts on the other side, they're only going to stick around for 7 years max, and you can settle a lot of debt for pennies on the dollar. So you just kind of have to pick your poison and see what is going to be a best fit for you, right? Because there's no one size fits all for credit repair. It's very, you can understand the concept. We want to dispute what we can to get off, right? Absolutely. Go through the dispute process. But after you've gone through the dispute process and the accounts remained valid because they were able to validate it and they were able to confirm that this alleged debt that you are claiming to be, whatever, is truly yours because they were able to validate it. And nowadays, people try to get away from debts that they've actually used their own bank account to pay for. Like we have to be better than this, because it's very hard to run from debt, especially when you have paid for that credit card bill from a bank account that you own. Okay. Unless you were a true victim of identity theft, that is not going to cut it anymore. All of those reports that these credit repair people are doing to try to get you out of debt, that is not going to work if they're able to validate, hey, this guy paid his bill for 2 years from his bank account. Here's all the payments that he made from his bank account that he linked through Plaid. And we were able to validate all of this data through technology. But now he wants to say that it's fraud and ID theft and it wasn't his and he didn't do it. But here's the proof. He did, and it is his. You have to understand it's not that easy to get away with things anymore. So you got to do the right thing. And sometimes that means you have to settle old debt and just say, hey, I learned my lesson. I messed up. Let me move forward and not do that again, because it's getting harder and harder to run from stuff that is yours. And that's, standard is people always want to run from their problems, but the problem is not going to go away unless you change. Okay. You have to change, and we got to clean up the mess. It's so easy to mess up. It is so easy, and it happens so fast, so fast. I have so many people that I talk to that, had great credit and have all these wonderful credit cards and accounts, and they're slowly starting to slash their limits and close their accounts, and their world is slowly closing in on them because the debt, and they're not able to keep up with it. And you have to have a plan in place. If you're going to spend money that you don't have to make money, you got to have a plan on how you're going to be able to pay for the expenses. How are you going to be able to pay back the investments? Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, you're still going to be liable for it. So you really got to be careful on who you're listening to out there, because in this day and age, it's very hard to get away from accounts that truly belong to you. And, just the basic concept of credit repair is to, dispute the negative items with the credit bureaus, all three: Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. Dispute it with the creditor or the data furnisher or the collection agency, whoever is reporting it to the credit bureaus. Clean up your personal information, clean up any inquiry that is not associated with an account, so you can just dispute that and say that it was unauthorized. You can call in and do that over the phone. And, if you've already gone through credit repair, or you've, tried to dispute things yourself and they've came back validated, if you've tried at least 6 times to get through and you've called and, they are like, no, we know this belongs to you. At this point, it's best to just settle the debt, because you're going to spend more time with somebody who, might not be able to get it off. Okay. And let's just be honest. So I would recommend, if you have old, debt that you've already tried to dispute, go through the dispute process and it's not working and they're able to validate it, is, at this point, you might just need to settle the debt. And if you are settling debt with the original creditor, there is no such thing as a pay for deletion. The only time a pay for deletion, and the pay for deletion is literally just a concept, but the only time the pay for deletion is going to work is if it is a third party, because the third party will no longer report once the account is settled. And then, of course, the original creditor, you just want to make sure that that account, if it is still reporting, is updated to, whatever the status is. It should no longer be a collection if it's already settled and paid. And sometimes it will say collection on there. So you can dispute it based on that being inaccurate and just say, hey, I want this deleted. You don't want it updated. You want it deleted. Because oftentimes they say that it was updated, but nothing changed. So you can send them a copy of the credit report to show the inaccuracies that are reporting, and ask them to just delete the information from your credit. Delete this account from my credit report. But, the pay for deletions do not work, like I said, with the original creditor. What they will do is, if you settle it, once you settle it, they will update the balance to be 0. They will stop reporting, and they will put a note on the account that the account was paid, settled, and, probably settled for less than full balance. It might say that, but that's fine, because as long as it's updating to a 0 balance, that's the goal. And then after it's updated, you can continue to dispute it to try to get information that might be outdated, like, hey, if they haven't updated it or something of that nature. Because once you've settled the account, banks are less likely to continue to fight you on it, because they're like, what do you want from us? Like, you've settled it. Yeah. So what? They got their money at this point, right? So you can continue to dispute the data. And honestly, when creditors look at your credit profile, if you are applying for new credit, it's not going to affect you anymore, because it is not reporting as an active or open charge off or collection. What people don't realize is you have to look at the last time that these accounts were reported. So if the last reported date was last month, then you have an open collection charge off actively reporting on a monthly basis, which is literally just hemorrhaging your credit score. Okay. It's hemorrhaging you points, okay? Every month you're losing points because you have this active derogatory account continuing to report on your credit. And you're just being stubborn because you listened to someone on YouTube who told you that collection accounts were illegal to report, so you're just not going to pay it, even though you know it's yours. No, stop being stubborn, settle the debt, and just get it in your past, okay? If you want to go through the dispute process, do it. Right? But don't expect everything to just go away or fall off like butter and be deleted because someone on YouTube told you to use this law and you used it and now it fell off. It probably had nothing to do with the law. It probably had everything to do with the fact that they got your dispute and they were not able to validate it. Therefore, they deleted it from your credit profile. Because oftentimes, when we send in a dispute, it goes through a computer system. A person does not touch it. It might go to a person during the investigation process, but ultimately, a computer is the person that is helping the credit bureaus process all of this data. And if they aren't able to validate a data, or if they aren't able to get a ping back from the company in a timely manner, they have to delete it. If they're not able to validate it within a 30-day period, then they have to delete it. So therefore, if they aren't able to, then it's going to get deleted. And guess what? It had nothing to do with that piece of the law that you used in your dispute letter. I'm not saying that the law does not work. By all means, the credit repair laws were put into place, and I'm not saying, any ones, but all of these laws were put into place to protect us, right? But what kills me is when people say that it's against the law to report collections or debt on people's credit report, because there's no law that says that. You have to read between the fine lines. If it sounds too good to be true, guess what? It is. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to be the negative Nancy, but it is, okay? It is. And even if someone did wipe out all of your old debt, there's no guarantee that it's not going to come back and haunt you in the future. There's no guarantee that some of these third-party companies don't have it on file for you as well. And that's another thing, is there's more data furnishers out there than just the three main credit bureaus. And I have a whole nother video on third-party data furnishers, but there are a ton, hundreds of data furnishers. The data industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax are some of the leaders in that industry, along with Dun & Bradstreet and LexisNexis, SageStream, Innovis. There's so many of them out there. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of data supplying companies, right? And we'll go over, this in more detail in that video, but they might have some of this data on file for you. So not only are you going to have to suppress those files, lock those files, or dispute those files, but that could potentially hold you back from approvals as well, because a lot of companies are checking more than one source when they're researching whether or not you would be a good candidate credit-wise. So that's why I say, we really, if you've messed up in the past, use the past as a learning lesson, but don't be one of those people now in 2023 that goes after credit repair 3 and 4 times. And I need my credit repair fixed. Again, I need my credit repaired like I did in 2018. I need my credit repaired like I got it in 2021. It is a new day and age, sweetheart. Okay. It is 2023, about to be 2025 pretty soon. Okay. It goes that quick. 2024 might as well not even exist, because that's how time goes. And guess what? Technology is Xing up at an astronomical amount. This year, ChatGPT came out. Total game changer. If you're not using it for your dispute letters, you should, because you can literally put a little bit of the law, a little bit of what you're disputing, and ChatGPT will generate a dispute letter for you based on what you're sending and what you're saying. And all that you really need is just a little piece. If you want to use consumer law, in your letter. All you need is a little piece of the consumer law, and you can use it to what's applicable. Like if you're saying, hey, I didn't authorize these inquiries, then you can, of course, use the law to say, hey, there's no permissible purpose here. That is valid, right? But there's nowhere in the law where it says it is 100% illegal to report collections onto your credit report. That I have never read that. However, I do have a cheat book of the consumer law, and you can actually research the law and use the Cornell Law website, and you can read it and you can see if this is truly applicable to your situation. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't really know what that means. None of that really applies to me. Then that law is not going to be applicable to your situation. Okay? Use the consumer law, but also be a human. Don't make it seem like your letter is coming from a computer system, some sort of software. ChatGPT is great to generate the letter. You don't have to use all of it. You can tell ChatGPT to simplify it for you. You can tell ChatGPT to make it sound like it's coming from a real person. So don't be too professional. Like you can say all of these prompts to produce the letter that's going to be best fit from you, so it seems like it's coming from a genuine person. So that's what I recommend, guys. Do it yourself. If you want coaching to walk you through it, then I provide one-on-one coaching. Get credit repair for free. But we are big advocates of teaching you how to do it, okay? And making sure that you have the right information. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? This is just the tip. And, like I said, credit repair does work, but you have to go through the process. You have to give it time. People out there that promise results in 30, 60, 90 days, we all know how they're getting those results, right? I'm not going to say it out loud, but if you know this industry and you've been through credit repair before, I'm sure you have consumer statements listed on your credit report saying that you've been a victim of fraud. Okay. So, we all know what goes on out there, but guess what? People are getting in trouble for that. And it's starting to catch up because we can't bypass the data, the artificial intelligence, the tracking, all of that stuff. We're not able to beat the system anymore. So get it together. Learn how to manage your debt properly. Make sure you're making the right moves. Don't be rushed. Don't get sold. Okay, if it sounds too good to be true, guess what? It probably is. It's a process. There's nothing fast about credit. The only thing fast is how fast your credit score will drop when you get a late payment or when your credit card utilization rises, above 25% or so. So you have to make sure that you're educated. You want to make sure that you're making the right moves. Make your next move your best move, guys. My name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. If you are interested in signing up for that one-on-one coaching, go to the description below where you can sign up for some coaching packages, because one session is available, but it is not enough. There is so much to know in this credit game. There is so much to have to go through the process, and I can hold your hand through it. You book your own coaching calls as needed over a year span, and we will work together so that way you are educated and you know what to do, because that's the only way to go about this whole credit repair thing. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you have subscribed to the channel, Credit Coach Nicole Scott. Hopefully you can find me on Instagram. I've recently had some issues with Instagram, but I do have my Credit Coach Pros Instagram up. So you can message me over there if you have any questions, but make sure that you hit that thumbs up button, share a comment, let me know if you have found some value from this. We do have a credit repair course as well, so that is very helpful for those of you that can't afford a coaching session or coaching package. That credit course, it has a dispute letter library in it. I'm always adding things to it. I teach you how to, repair your credit using software, and it doesn't matter what software service provider you use. They're all the same concept. So whether you're using software or just use Microsoft Word, either way, just get it done. It takes time. You got to execute. Let's do it. Let's go. Watch the next video coming up next. Take care.